every inhale and every exhale. Noticing the length of the inhale, noticing the length of the exhale. Turning all your attention towards the breath, or maybe the body if the breath is not accessible to you right now. Noticing how the body is positioned and allowing it to just really safely, fully supported, kind of sink into the surface that's holding you. And just right now, just as you are, there's nothing to do, there's nowhere to go, but just being here, right in this moment. Maybe there's a lot of stuff in the mind right now, a lot of thinking or planning or whatever it is. That's all okay. Just very kindly and gently bringing your attention again and again to any point of contact in the body that is felt the most, sensing through the body or the breath. It could be the hands or the feet. The flow of the breath in the body, whatever works for you. And just for a moment, let's rest here in this stillness. Doing a quick body check-in, allowing the shoulders to drop, releasing the jaw. And noticing if there is any unnecessary tension or tightness right now. I just want to be let go, so allowing for that to happen. However that looks for you, however you think that you might need to do that is fine. It could be just shifting the body a little bit, adjusting. It's all okay. It's all welcome. Taking care of yourself. And whatever it might be that might be on the way of your meditation right now, whether it's tension or whether it's a lot of planning, a lot of thinking, or maybe emotions that might be here, really allowing them for that space without getting carried away, without getting taken by them. And maybe if it's thinking, just noticing the thoughts. If it's tension, just noticing the tension. If there's a strong emotion right now, just allowing the emotion also to rest right here in this loving and kind awareness, non-judgmentally. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. What you're doing is perfect. And every time you notice the mind drifting, just coming right back to this moment. And we do that by paying attention to the breath or the body sitting here. And for some of you that might not want so much guidance, we can always turn the volume down, mute the guidance, and just sit in silence with us as well. It's all up to you, whatever works for you. And as you welcome a sense of ease into the moment, seeing if you can let go of any expectations for this moment. Noticing the comparing mind, noticing the mind that's always going to the future. Seeing if you can bring your attention right here, right now, to this moment. To just sitting here and just breathing. There's nothing more important than this moment. You are home right now. And not in the sense of a physical place, but home within yourself, in this moment, in the heart. If you're noticing a certain uneasiness or the mind is distracted, that's okay too. If you're noticing it, you're doing the practice perfectly. And whenever you see that you got carried away by the story, the narrative, whenever you notice that, just bringing your attention without any judgment right back to this moment, the breath, the body. softening around any tightness or tension. Allowing the breath to just carry you in this moment. Floating right into the moment. And so as we sit together, reflecting in this moment, reflecting in this new year, perhaps many hopes and expectations. Carrying it all tenderly and kindly. And maybe turning in towards yourself and noticing if there's any goal setting for this year that you might be aware of. Maybe something that you are willing to work on this year. So just noticing what comes up for you. Maybe just picking one of those things that you like to achieve. Maybe just one for now. And these don't have to be very big things. It could be anything, any direction that you might want to take this year as we start on 2021. And noticing what it feels like when you think about it. Noticing how the body feels when you think about this goal that you've set for yourself. This thing that you're trying to achieve without any judgment. Just noticing how the body feels when you think about it. And if you notice any tension or tightness as you think about this goal, that's okay, just noticing that. Seeing if you can soften around that. Now bringing your attention to the motivation for achieving this goal. What's motivating you to wanting to achieve this? And how important is this to you? And again, noticing how the body feels, noticing the thoughts that rise. If at any moment you encounter a thought that is not aligned with your goal, that is going against it, that's okay. Just noticing that as well. Without trying to change it or make it be any other way. Just knowing that it's a thought. That's all it is. It'll pass, just like everything else. Maybe taking in a deep breath. And on a long, long exhale, tuning into clarity as this motivation, sense of purpose kind of aligns to your goal. Looking deep within to what's motivating. Maybe the goal would change a little bit. Maybe it'll become something else, or maybe not. Maybe it'll just become more clear. Just noticing what happens as you hold this goal in mind and check in with your motivation for attaining it. And now checking into who would benefit from this goal, from you achieving this. Is it you? Is it others as well? Just noticing what comes up for you. There's no right or wrong. Really noticing if any judgment comes up. Just knowing that judgment is a thought. It'll pass as well. And now seeing if we can bring up an intention around it. And so an intention is going to be anything that carries you from within. An intention will be something that you would do moment by moment towards achieving your goal. So a quote from the movie Soul that came out this past year says, life is full of possibilities. You just need to know where to look. Don't miss out on the joys of life. So when you set your intention, really keeping that alive so that you don't lose sight of who you are. And if you notice sleepiness, if you notice tiredness, you can always take in a deeper than normal breath. Oxygenating the body can allow you to stay awake, alert. So we think of our short time on earth. Maybe we can take every step much more seriously, living more fully, making each moment count. In the same film, there's a character named 22 that says a line that is really interesting. She says, is all this living really worth dying for? Maybe we can keep that intention alive so that it is worth dying for. Knowing that we can hold goals within mindfulness as well. But mindfulness is what carries us over, what allows us to know when we're gone too far, we've gone too far without achieving the goal. And so I often share my experience with going on retreat. And in my own experience, I can tell you that before retreat, the mind is always busy. The mind is always full of goals, direction, achieving, working hard, very exhausting. But every time after I come back from retreat, whatever goals I might have, they become exciting, they become joyful, they become part of a great journey, definitely worth living for. And this is what brings us to the practice. And this is when I'm able to see that when my practice is strong, I can enjoy the journey. I can be with every step of the way to achieving my goals. And I also notice that when I take that step backward in my journey to achieving a goal, a lot of the times that becomes a lesson if my mindfulness practice is strong. I learned from that. But if my mindfulness practice is not as strong, if I've gotten carried away by what to do and I've been doing instead of being, these setbacks become a sense of disappointment. Then the mind starts creating the story that I might never achieve this goal. And so as you set your goals for this year, maybe just keeping that in mind, keeping in mind that it's about the journey, that it's about every step of the way. And noticing the motivation for achieving that goal, and noticing how it feels for you when you think about it. Motivation is a sense of purpose, right? If it's aligned with a goal, then it's going to be a joyful experience. Even when we have setbacks, it's going to be learning. There's another line in this film by a character called Dorothea. And I don't want to talk very much about this film because you might want to see it. So I'm just quoting a couple of lines, but it's a great line, and in which the main character has been working so hard at becoming this musician that he wants to be. And finally, I guess, things escalate to meet Dorothea. And Dorothea says, I heard this story about a fish. He swims up to an older fish and says, I'm trying to find this thing they call the ocean. The ocean, the older fish says. That's what you're in right now. This, says the young fish, this is water. What I want is the ocean, says the young fish. And so many times we can be holding on to these goals so tightly that we miss on everything else. Once we attain it, it's just one more thing because we missed the entire journey. So as we start on this year, maybe that will be the invitation to really set these goals and really keep the intention as your main anchor. And then the goal as something that you're going to achieve. So if a goal could be put on in the words of a yin and a yang attitude, right? The yin and the yang. The yin is tender and compassionate, and it holds it all together. And then the yang is stronger, it's got discipline, right? So maybe it's a balance between those two. There's a kindness towards achieving and a kindness and compassion when things set us back. And then there's this yang attitude of discipline, commitment, and moving forward. But see, without mindfulness, it's very hard to keep these things in place. And this is when we take mindfulness to every aspect of our lives. And that's what we're learning here, to apply it to everything we do. So we've been doing this meditation. We started out with formal practice. Formal practice allows for our minds to settle. It also trains our minds to be in the present so we don't miss these moments when we're not aligned with our practice. But then the informal practice is every day, everywhere you go in life. So goals without mindfulness takes us away from the moment, right? We become involved in reaching the goal and we miss everything else. So an example could be when you're going hiking, right? If you want to hike up a mountain, you might be so determined to get into the top. You run as fast as you can and you miss everything else in the process. You might miss the flowers and the trees and the terrain and how it changes. That will be the intention. So the intention will be that I am going to make this hike and I am going to pay attention to every step of the way, to everything I smell, everything I see, every step I take. And the goal will be reaching the top of the mountain. And so that way, when you reach the top of the mountain, the experience is so much more fuller than if you just ran it up. And then what if you just run up the mountain? What I experience sometimes is like, if I just run up the mountain, I get to the top, it's like, oh, great view, coming back down again. But if I take that time, then it's a rich experience. I'm fully alive the entire moment, the entire time. So this is really how the difference is between setting a goal. A goal is something external that we achieve, and an intention is something more internal. It's a journey. So as we move on through 2021, really keeping this in mind and noticing when you're not aligned with these intentions. And when you come up with your goals, noticing what the motivation is, noticing where you're getting at. So really paying attention to these things could be really helpful as we navigate life and as we go through this journey. And so a lot of the times we tend to have the idea that, mindful, if we're mindful, we can set a goal. Like I'm not going to set a goal of, for even for my practice, right? That goes against it. But it really doesn't. It's when when we cling so much to the goals that we're parting from our mindfulness. But mindfulness is actually the tool that allows us to see, I'm clinging too tight, I'm suffering now. This goal is now too much for me. I'm going to let it go because I've gotten a really tight grip on it now. So really is that sense of letting go, right? So it's another attitudinal foundation of mindfulness, kind of letting go a little bit and kind of coming back to it a little bit. So we're constantly in this coming and going with everything that we do. So I wanted to leave you with, as we conclude our formal practice, I wanted to just read a poem to you by David Whyte. It's called All the True Vows. And he says, all the true vows are secret vows. The ones we speak out loud are the ones we break. There's only one life we can call your own, and 1,000 others you can call by any name you want. Hold to the truth you make every day with your own body. Don't turn your face away. Hold to your own truth at the center of the image you were born with. Those who do not understand their destiny will never understand the friends they have made, nor the work they have chosen, nor the life that waits beyond all the others. By the lake, in the wood, in the shadows, you can whisper the truth, that truth to the quiet reflection you see in the water. Whatever you hear from the water, remember, it wants you to carry the sound right on your lips. And remember, in this place, no one can hear you. Out in the silence, you can make a promise that it will kill you to break. And that way you'll find what is real and what is not. I know what I'm saying. Time almost forsook me. And I looked again. Seeing my reflection, I broke a promise and spoke for the first time after all these years in my own voice. Before it was too late to turn my face again. So, as we reflect on those words, and as we reflect on our practice, and maybe that will be it. Maybe our intention for this year will be to set an achievable goal for our practice, whether it's getting up every morning and doing our practice, our meditation, right? Whether it's committing to maybe being here in community twice a week and really giving it the most, really getting involved, really being here, being present with every step and everything. Maybe it will be that. Maybe it will be of just taking a mindful walk in the middle of the day, or taking more breaks when you're working, checking in with the body, doing quick body scans throughout the days so you don't get burnt out, right? So whatever it is that is your goal, whatever it is that's your intention, allow mindfulness to carry you over. Allow mindfulness to pave the way for everything you do. Mindfulness is a way of living, right? Meditation is just an instrument for the mind to get used to, kind of being fully aware. And again, in this awareness, we hold everything with kindness. So it's kind and it's loving awareness, right? I was on a retreat this before today, and the teacher said something really interesting, which I don't remember exactly, but it was something that when we're meditation, a teacher has said to her, the meditation is not a stare. It's not a stare. It's not a deep stare. It's not rigid. It's not a cold stare, she said. It's not a cold stare. It's a warm, kind looking in. And so that's kind of what we're practicing, is warm and is kind, and we're paying attention. And whenever you notice judgment, remember that's just part of what the mind does. And so maybe just taking a moment to really just close the session by tuning into your breath and sitting here in gratitude for being here, for taking the time for yourself. And this is the greatest act of love that someone can ever have for themselves, to take this time for you, to take care of yourself. And so I thank you for your formal practice. I thank you for being in the world. The world is a better place because of you, because you're in it, and because you are practicing. So thank you.